did you have any external friction from other people who weren't necessarily supportive of you, either at this point or when you first got into incredible shape when you were, 7 to 12% body fat?
Yeah, definitely a lot early on, and it'll never completely go away. Most specifically now, it's just family members, because you can't choose your family, and I'm not like basically everyone else who, because this is like my life, right? Business and bodybuilding, basically. So anyone who I can choose whether or not I'm close to, if they make me question what I'm doing at all, they're like, see you later. So mostly right now, it's just family members. Like my parents are like, why the hell are you getting so big for? Like you look just last week, my Nona, which is grandma, she was like, you look like shit. And
Giving
but
you the business.
yeah, yeah, because she knows it's unhealthy. She's not from a like bodybuilding, but yeah, before that, like I used to work in the trades. So in the trades, the mindset's kind of like, fuck it. Like when's Friday? Counting down the days till Friday. Drinking on the weekends. People will kind of make fun of you in a friendly way, but it still will get to you. But
Yeah.
so that's what I had to deal with early on. Like when I first started training, I was an electrician, and that's the kind of people that I was surrounded with. And I think I was pretty good at that, at kind of looking at it as like right away, as soon as I started getting those kind of comments, and I would just think to myself, like, why does this person's opinion matter at all? Like, do I at all want to have a life like they have? No. As like arrogant as that sounds, you can't. It's better to be a little bit arrogant than it is to let people influence you who are going to make where that influence is going to make your life worse, right? It was even worse in the oil field, but then like in the oil field, I just basically didn't talk to anyone unless it was because I was at work, right? I was very selective with who I would talk to. So yeah, you just have to take your goals more seriously than relationships with people who aren't, adding any value to your life, right?
Yeah, definitely. And again, you kind of mentioned that you had these outside, forces and frictions that people who weren't supporting you and your ability to disconnect. Family, they can get away with a few more jabs, generally speaking, with some of that stuff. How do you help your clients when maybe they have a spouse or somebody who's not necessarily as supportive? I've seen this both with men and women, where they start to get in shape, they start to get a little pushback directly from their significant other. How do you recommend navigating that?
With like a spouse, in that case, you have to get a little uncomfortable in the sense that like you have to sit down with them and explain why you're doing it and why it's important to you. Because if you just start doing it and I think a lot of it when it comes to with your spouse is they feel threatened by you trying to make the change, and maybe it kind of makes their life a little more inconvenient. And if you're not very open with them about like why you're doing it, why it's important to you, all they're going to see is how it's negatively affecting them, right? And understand as well that kind of emphasize with them, they feel like you're doing something that's going to disconnect them from you, right? Emphasize that first, and then you're going to have to get ready to have that kind of uncomfortable like sit down conversation where you have to kind of explain. Maybe it's comfortable for some people, but where you have to explain why this is what you're doing, why it's important to you. Kind of just ask for their support rather than their pushback, right?
Yeah, that's exactly how I like to frame it. Like, hey, I want your support with this, not your permission.
Yeah.
Because I think individually, not to turn this into a relationship talk, but like if you're not allowing that person who you're with to elevate something that could be, related to their health because it makes you not feel good, like, are you truly supporting and being the partner that you should be in that? Might be a rhetorical question, but I say hell no, right? And to me, that's one of the things I least like to see when it comes to that process. Got a little bit sidetracked, but I think that ties in really well because so much of this process, when it comes to being able to add substantial muscle like you have, comes to first being open, receptive to doing something different when you're already in great shape. Mm-hmm. It comes down to being able to give somebody else kind of the steering wheel, so to speak, and go along for the ride and really focusing on it. And then it comes down to being able to stay narrowly focused directly on your goal, even when you have pushback from different areas.